Welcome to Life Will Be. I'm your host, Lydia T. Blanco. Thank you for deciding that this is a valuable way to spend your time. If you're anything like me, you've been in search of community, depth, and answers. After all, life will be. So thank you for being here, for tuning in and listening with your heart. I have been in transition. And if you're watching this, you're probably noticing like, oh, her background is different. It is. What I'm learning in this moment is to be satisfied in transition. Satisfaction is one of my words for my personal new year. Since the last time that I've been here with you all, I've had a birthday, I've traveled, and so many things have taken place. And what I realize is that I am in transition. For so long, I thought that once you got through transition, it was over. You've arrived, right? Hello. I don't think arrival is a thing anymore. I don't even know if it's a thing. And maybe it's because I've been striving, going from this to that, from ambition to accomplishment. I'm learning how to rest, be still, and be present. But I'm also being honest about the season that I'm in, and I am in transition. And my goal is to be satisfied in transition. That's what I want to delve into today is being satisfied in transition. Now, it is challenging. It's a good challenge. You know what also is challenging? Pilates. Okay. So I decided that I was going to transition from mat Pilates to reformer Pilates. Yeah. I have had this goal to be a Pilates girly, and the process has begun, right? But one of the things that I realized while I was like on my back, actively trying to listen and all the things is that listening, trusting, taking instruction, and doing what you are told to do at the moment is very challenging. It's hard, but it's necessary. And I associate that with transition as well. I've been going to this really cool, I say I'm going to. I've tried out a new place and I'm really excited about it. Black owned Pilates studio, intimate classes, different paces for the classes. And while I was listening for instruction, I had to take a deep breath. I also went into meditation and prayer briefly while I was waiting for the next instruction. And I was like, Lydia, you got this, a little affirmation there as well. And then I began to giggle. Okay. It was like a little spiritual laugh because I was like, my God, this is hard, but I love it. I love the practice of silencing my mind so that I can listen for what is next, and not next as in being planful or strategic, right? But listening for the next instruction so that you can do what you are being told to do. Pilates for me, I realize now, is a core exercise. And I'm not just talking about my abdominal region. I'm not sure if I'll ever have a six pack in my lifetime, especially mid-30s, still want to have kids. Who knows? Okay. That's beside the point. But it is a core exercise, building my strength. But I also see it now as a spiritual practice as it relates to listening, especially while you're in transition from one move to the next. There is no room to be doing your own thing or to be overthinking anything when you are in reformation. I'm at such a critical juncture in my life. I have hit the fresh start button after paying off 6 figures of debt. So many of my things are still packed away. And I'm like, God, where do you want me to be? I want to be where love is. I have this desire to build a family and be closer to the one that I was born into, all these things. And I'm learning to be satisfied. For me, that also means being present in the moment. It's hard to be satisfied when you're just going from thing to thing, right? There's no real time to process or appreciate where it is that you are or what you have and those who you're in community and love when all you're doing is striving and doing. Being is so important to achieving satisfaction. So I'm working on my core, I'm listening. And can we just talk about how underrated that is? It's such an incredible challenge, but actively listening and applying is difficult. I also believe it is rewarding. I haven't got a glimpse of the reward yet, Okay. But I'm excited to get there. So I wrote some notes and I realized that it is important for me to think about what it is that I'm holding on to and believing as I navigate transition. I'm holding on to my faith and standing in that love of self, depth of community. I want to go deeper with everyone who has the capacity, the interest, will, desire, and a love ethic to do so, not only for my understanding, growth, connection, and love, but for theirs too. Depth is so important. I think sometimes we're so hung up on how far we can go, but we're not thinking about how deep we can go. And as I've been evaluating my relationships, one of the things that I'm not really clinging to anymore is tenure. I don't want to say longevity, even though, arguably they're synonymous, right? But sometimes we hold on to things because of how long we've been invested in them, but we're not really evaluating, okay, does this still carry the same weight? Is it valuable? Is it something that is mutually beneficial? So I'm looking for people across the board. I'm going deeper with my people in my life now across the board as well, so that I can achieve the depth. And sometimes you can go deep with people who you haven't known long. And that's such a beautiful thing. It's something that I want to pursue more and am actively pursuing so that I don't get caught up on what has been and I can experience what is for me. And so learning and recommitting to what I am saying right now in this moment and the things that I have written down and established as life goals is something that I have to truly make a daily habit of recommitting to. Transition requires so much. There is no room to not be in ritual. I'm finding ways to create moments of intimacy and sacredcy for myself, and that comes with ritual. Some may call it routine, right? But I have to continue to be my own woman and be grounded in my faith and myself, right? And God, the little G in me, okay? Because we are made in his likeness. It ain't easy though, okay? It is not easy. Something else that I'm learning how to do, oh my gosh, is how to rest on the pivot. Rest while on the pivot. I've talked about before knowing the importance of being able to identify when it's time to pivot. But sometimes you got to learn how to actually just rest on the pivot, and while the world is going around and things are happening and life is taking place, you're resting in his promise. You're resting in what you have learned from experience in life and trial and tribulation, all the things, so that you're not always frantically moving about. You deserve peace. You deserve to have a regulated nervous system, to trust and know, to be still and know. Being still, how difficult is that for Lydia T. Blanco? Very difficult, okay? I don't feel like I'm going to necessarily like lose my mind if I'm still. Been working on it. But sometimes I'm just like, oh my gosh. But it's such a beautiful process to be able to silence your mind, to trust and believe, to take those deep breaths. I'm going to take it back to Pilates one more time. When I was lying down and waiting for the next instruction, those deep breaths felt like prayer. It felt like the outside world in New York, as loud as it is, my mind, as loud as it is at times, was silenced. And it was because I was being still. And sometimes that's a challenge, but it's okay. It's important to know when it is time for you to take a sacred pause. That's for you. That's for your relationship with the Most High. Transition is not about everyone else. It's about where you are divinely assigned to be and you trusting the process to get there. Now, I'm talking about the pivot, immeasurable trust, belief, as well as confidence, right? But let me just add surrender to the list. Okay? Because surrender. I do not know every next move. I don't understand every dynamic of God's will, and I don't think it's for us to understand. But surrendering that understanding and my expectations, babe, is something else. But it is also one of the things that is keeping me. Okay? And may I add, in my right mind as well. Baby, sometimes you can just go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And it's not meant for you to do that. Life is not meant for you to do that. So I challenge you, if this resonates, surrender your understanding, your expectations. A number of episodes I talked about how it is not them, it might be your expectations. And what I am coming to terms with is that my expectations could be the very thing that is in my way. When we form expectations, we begin to form systems, routines, behaviors, all these different things that may not serve us based on whatever expectation it is that we have established. That's where surrender comes in. Let it go. Let it go. I'm being honest about the things that do not serve me, and it is wild, okay? But it also is a key indicator that there are things that I need to radically accept. The things that I cannot change and all these other things and control. Life will be surrender. Okay? Now, there are some things that I feel like you should not just lay down and take, but use your discernment. You know when it's time, right? Trust your gut, that intuition, the instinct in those voices, right? That you have. And sometimes it's your own voice, that intuition being like, now you know better. Girl, boy, my guy, come on. Trust that. Now, with trust comes doing, right? Faith without works is dead. And so the application of the word, who he says you are, and living in that is major. That's a part of who we are called to be, but you have to apply. What's stopping you from applying what you know is a question that I've been asking myself daily. It's me. It's my expectations. It's a number of things, right? But it is just so wild how we get in the way of our own satisfaction. Okay, satisfaction in transition. Look, I wrote down some things and I'm like, okay, how can you be satisfied in transition? I'm gonna go to my notes here as well. I talked about radical acceptance. You know, accept the things that are for you and accept things as they are. Form a new routine. Transitioning from mat Pilates to Pilates is something that I'm excited about. I'm hyped. And it's not even about the results. It's about that conditioning, right? The core training that I mentioned earlier. I heard someone, and you know what? I'm actually going to look up her name, and hopefully my phone does not go wild because I want to give credit where it is due. And there was a young lady talking about how important it is for you to have a hobby when you are a lover girl. And I think it's just so important to have hobbies in general. But what she said was so key. And I was like, oh, you know how sometimes you're just so focused on the goal, you're so invested in the expectation that you have nothing else that you can focus on. It's hard. You begin to self-sabotage and become discouraged. You can fall into a depressive bout, become anxious, all the things. I mean, raise your hand if you've ever been there before. Oh, am I the only one raising my hand? No, I'm not. Okay, great. Okay, great. Why can't I find this young lady? I hope she did not delete her video. I have seen a number of people. Okay, here she is. I have seen a number of people, I'll say impersonating and sharing the same thing that she shared, but I'm just going to say that this is her theory and she has an entire course. Her name is Kitty Noor. So shout outs to Kitty Noor because she's talking about being a lover girl and having hobbies and using your hobbies as your crush. And I'm like, I love that. I think that in transition, that applies as well, right? Finding things to fall in love with, to crush on, be excited about, so that you create routines and habits for yourself that allow you to be present and you can still be happy and thrive and do and be excited about something while you are in transition. So shout outs to Kitty Noor because I saved that TikTok. I encourage you to look it up and listen to what she's saying about crushing through your hobbies, right? But I'm like, I'm going to offer crushing on life. I like that. Allow yourself to rest, right? I talked about resting while on the pivot. You have to find time to quiet your mind, to do things that are going to bring you peace, deep breaths, going for a walk, finding rest and laughter. Okay. Sometimes I laugh so hard at something. I'm like, I feel so much more relieved. And I think scientifically, like those are endorphins, right? So laugh more. Okay. Find something else to do with your time and attention that is positive. I mentioned this as well, but it behooves me to say it again. Challenge yourself to go deeper with your loved ones. Be honest about where you are so that you can get the support that you need and find ways to, yes, focus on what is important and keep the main thing while you're in transition, but don't be selfish to the point where you're not pouring into your relationships. A lot of people have the behavior of retreating when they are going through. And I do believe in moments or seasons of isolation. I think that they are a form of, divine protection and a season of growth and so on and so forth. But don't forget to pour and be available as well. Transition is tough. It is. I get it. I'm here. But it is so important to understand how exciting and uncomfortable and necessary it is. I was at Six Flags with my girls, my sister, and one of my very close friends. We were going from ride to ride. I was recording our before and after just for our own, I guess, a library of memories. And we were like getting tore up on them rides, okay? When I say the mid-30s was 30ing, it was so much fun. The thrill of the unknown and going on the different twists and turns. But then we also had this very peaceful moment where we walked into like this nature exhibit, and it was a butterfly paradise is what I'm going to refer to it because I can't think of the proper name. But we were in Vallejo, California at Six Flags, Marine World. And we were like, dang, too bad the dolphins ain't out. We don't even know if they still have dolphins anymore, okay? Shout outs to everybody in the Bay who knows about Marine World. But we went into this butterfly exhibit. It was so hot and humid. We went from being outdoors with a little bit of breeze to entering a new environment in a different climate. And the transition took us all by storm because we didn't even think that the temperature that was necessary for that climate would be what it was. It was unexpected. But we were like, you know what? It is so worth it. There were a swarm of butterflies, all different colors and sizes and species. It was incredible. There were also pieces of rotted fruit sitting out on platters with context. Some butterflies like eating rotted fruit for its nutrients and different scientific reasons, right? And I think it's all spiritual, right? But it was beautiful. We were also sweating, okay? It was so fun. And it felt like an out of body experience, right? Because we were in a different environment. We also saw a sloth and it was asleep. And I was like, dang, talk about slothiness. This is what God was referring. Okay, anyways, I'll stay on topic. One of the things that stood out to me on top of profusely sweating was the beauty of the environment. And now we could step into that environment in the nick of time and be exposed to so much beauty of newness, unexpected, and the butterflies. We also saw the cocoons. And I was like, wow, it is incredible to me how humans, even with all of our uniqueness, right? And with respect to our humanity and census, that we are the only species who are afraid of transition. Butterflies do their thing. Well, I should say caterpillars do their thing and go through the process to become butterflies, bears, hibernate, and all other things. And I'm like, wow, nature is incredible, but we are incredible as people, right? As human beings, as spiritual beings. And it is so key to surrender to transition, but also find ways to be satisfied during transition as well. I'm smiling so hard because there was this moment where a woman had a butterfly on her hand. She worked the exhibit and it was rare. It was unbelievable. One side was like blue and tan and black, and the inside was, I believe, a vibrant, like grapefruit, ruby grapefruit color. And I was like, wow, like, God, like, what are you doing up there? Like, this is amazing, right? And so I'm just thinking about transition and like, God, what are you doing up here? This is amazing. And even though I don't feel amazing all the time, right now I can have this enthusiasm because I'm like, to be satisfied in transition, to trust and believe. And now I'm thinking about another song of mine that is on my playlist. I should say it ain't my song, but it is also by Jordan G. Wells. And she has this beautiful song, Satisfied and Satisfied Reprise. And she's talking about being satisfied in transition. And one of the verses is, he has every step ordered. I don't know what you believe in. You know me. Okay. And if you don't know, I am imagining by now you know my beliefs, I should say. To trust and believe that he has every step ordered. To trust and believe that you are made in his likeness. The little G in you got to stand up. The little G in you has to find ways to be satisfied in transition. Transition is not about pouting from point A to point B. It's a learning experience. It is difficult. It can be an emotional experience, but it is a vehicle as well. Wow. Okay, let me just check my notes to make sure that I didn't miss anything. The bears and the butterflies surrender to transition without question. And I know they can't talk. However, everything under the sun is commanded to worship. What is going to be your practice, be it spiritual or based on your own beliefs? What are you going to do to make your life feel like prayer in action? I want to be satisfied in transition. And I've shared some of the things that I'm doing. And I hope that this can be encouragement to you as well. I think one of the things that I'm going to do is continue to give thanks for the little things, big things too. Clean clothes, housing, my right mind, family, love, all the things. You, thank you. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for being open. Life will be. Will you make the most of it? Will you be satisfied? Only you can answer that question. If this is resonant with you, let me know. Talk to me. I talk back. Email me, letsworklydia@gmail.com. Reach out on Instagram at Life Will Be Pod or at Lydia T. Blanco. Share this episode with your mama and them, your friends, the homies, whomever. Okay? And be well, be encouraged and renewed. Okay? Work on your core, y'all. Until the next time, it's been real. Peace.